All right, what's up, BBD family? It's me, Big Papa D, and the Mitchmaster 3000. We're here for our third, I was like third, I can't count.
Pick number 3, my lord.
Our third annual NFL Draft Show. Today, we're going to be going over our first round picks, which are all going to be wrong. And then we're also going to look at the whole draft for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm glad that all 6 of you decided to join us, and here we go.
Hopefully we can make a 7th.
All right, getting started with the first round, we have our top 5. We're going to go back and forth here, and I will give the honors to Mr. Mitchmaster 3000. I just want to let you guys know beforehand, if this helps you share this and wake your friends and call your neighbors, if we get 1,000 views on this draft show, Mitchmaster 3000 will get a promotion to Mitchmaster 4000. I know you all want that because it means a lot.
Just gotta get to 4.
All right, so here we go. Top 5.
It goes without question. The Titans organization has been all over it. They're drafting Cam Ward.
Yeah, I mean, worst kept secret in football.
Yeah, it's aside from what could be the next pick, just due to some recent headlines, Cam Ward has been the worst kept first round pick in a couple years.
Which is crazy if you think about it.
Yeah.
Because if this was any other year, he'd be lucky to be a first round pick.
Agreed.
I mean, so.
Except for if you're looking at the Kenny Pickett, Malik Willis quarterback.
Yeah, oh yeah. Then they would have picked him
of recent
before
years
the draft.
they would have been picked long before.
He would have been picked 0.
Yeah, he would have been picked -3.
Yeah. I also have Cam Ward number 1. See? Number 2?
This one is tossy, whichever way you look at it, but Andrew Berry of the Browns organization, their general manager, has compared cornerback from Colorado, Travis Hunter, to the Los Angeles Dodgers pitcher/designated hitter Shohei Ohtani, saying he's a one-of-a-kind athlete.
So does that mean he'll also get caught in a gambling scandal and then throw his personal assistant?
Throw his assistant under the bus.
Okay.
There's a 60-40 chance, especially with the tutelage he had at Colorado. Sorry, Dion. There's a good chance that could be. But for the safe pick here, I'm going with Travis Hunter from Colorado.
Okay, I feel that Cleveland knows they're not going to score points this year, and you can't go offensive line this high. So I had them going with the Penn State edge rusher, Mr. Abdul Carter. I think you line him up on the other side of Myles Garrett. And, I mean, Kenny Pickett and or Joe Flacco can win games if the other teams only score 10 points.
Both are safe. Both are safe picks. There's nothing wrong with going either of the two. Personally, I would take Carter, but Barry has leaned Hunter.
Here's the problem with the Browns taking Travis Hunter. If Travis Hunter was ever going to be a bust, it would be because he went to the Cleveland Browns.
Agreed.
Just because.
Because he's
no offense, Browns fans.
Cleveland does not rock. I'm sorry.
Okay. It might rock a little bit. I've been to concerts already.
Yeah.
Kind of rocks. All right. Number 3.
The New York Giants pair up Kayvon Thibodeau with a good friend. They get the edge rusher from Penn State in Abdul Carter. That tandem, even though I have my doubts about Abdul Carter, the draft analysts do not, so therefore, we do not. Abdul Carter to the Giants.
Okay. My third pick, my pick to the Giants. Here's my reasoning behind it. Number 1, I just don't think that they would take Shedeur Sanders this high. They have 2 quarterbacks that can get them through a year or two, or at least through this year, till there's a much better draft class next year for quarterbacks. So I think that if they don't trade out of this pick, I think that they're going to go with best available player and a versatile player, and this is where Travis Hunter from Colorado goes.
So, the New England Patriots. They bring in a new head coach in Mike Vrabel. Very nose to the grindstone. We're going to win clean, but we're going to play smash mouth offensive football. I believe they decide to protect a young upstart quarterback with high upside and protect his blind side. And they go with Will Campbell from LSU. I think it's a good, big offensive lineman, good competition against him. Plus, the handwork all works out well for what they're needing at the left tackle position. I think Will Campbell fits this pick well.
And because, I didn't get straight A's in school doing it by myself, I cheated off Mitch's paper, and I also had Will Campbell going to LSU. He might as
He
well
went to
stay at LSU.
LSU.
Probably gonna make more money at
He's probably going to make more
LSU.
money, yeah. The
To
way
New
things are
England.
going. So, the Jacksonville Jaguars. You got a lot of holes in a lot of places. This team is not an easy fix. But one thing that this draft is heavily loaded in is the defensive tackle position. And that's been notably a hard hole to fill over the last few years in the league. This year, they fix it. They take defensive tackle Mason Graham from Michigan, obviously a Big Ten player. Getting that type of caliber down into the South, you're going to take a level of competition down there like no other. And it's going to fill an immediate need that team has.
For me, Jacksonville just signed Lawrence to a new contract. The defense was bad, but not like the worst defense in the league. I really feel that they want to get Lawrence as many tools as they possibly can. So the first wide receiver off the board for me is, I'm not saying his first name, McMillan from Arizona.
Good old Tat. Call him Tat.
All right, that was the top five. We'll be back with 6 through 10. All right, continuing with the first round, we're on from pick 6 to pick 10. I'll start this time. The Las Vegas Raiders pick is probably the second worst kept secret in the draft. Tom Brady influenced. Bill Belichick's school of thought: play defense, run the ball, makes it easier on the quarterback. We have even though I feel like they need a receiver, we're going to have the Raiders taking Ashton Genty from Boise State.
To follow that, here's the surprise, guys. There's a train coming. Follow it. Ashton Genty from Boise State is running the ball for the Raiders this year. There's no debate.
All right, pick number 7. That's the New York Jets, and the Jets need a whole hell of a lot and a prayer. I think they're pretty much set on defense. I mean, they might have a little bit of holes. Set at wide receiver. So I have them going offensive line, and we have Kelvin Banks Jr. from Texas.
I also have them going offensive line. When you look at this tackle set, I believe that the University of Missouri had a better run blocking tackle than who will be coming a little later down the pike. And I believe this pick to the Jets should be Armand Membou. I believe that with Membou, Justin Fields will have a little bit more ability to develop the running game the way he wants to. And that will also help Breece Hall further his development going forward with the Jets.
Okay, my pick number 8, everything he just said, but replace Justin Fields' name with Bryce Young. Because I have Carolina taking Armin Membou.
And with that being said, instead of protecting a young Bryce Young,
A very small,
undersized, yet to be a bust, but we're getting there.
He turned it
He
around towards
did,
the end of the season.
but we're getting there. We're going to get him a weapon.
Guns?
Gun.
We're getting him a
Kind
gun.
of.
We're getting him a gun.
We're going to give him Ted McMillan from Arizona.
Okay.
It's a good skill player, all-around receiver. Definitely helps this offense with an aging Adam Thielen across from him, along with Xavier Legette. Ted McMillan.
Okay, at number 9, we have the New Orleans Saints with an aging Derek Carr, and I think there might be some issues
An
there.
injured Derek
Yeah,
Carr.
okay. I think we're going to go quarterback here, and that's when we get Mr. Shador Sanders.
And what a conflict pick number 9 would be for the Saints. Because the pick is Shedeur Sanders for me as well. But what are we going to see from Shedeur Sanders? Who are you? You are 10-13. High prime. Not looking too great coming into this draft. I hope you exceed expectations.
I think if he's given time and they don't have to play right away, and maybe gets a little bit of a reality check, that he'll be okay. He'll be okay. I mean, he's got the pedigree. So, all right, at number 10, the Chicago Bears. I messed around with this. Chicago needs quite a few things. Could go all receiver. I could do a bunch of things here, but I settled on from Michigan defensive tackle Mason Graham.
And with my pick 10, losing Keenan Allen is a big deal, but you've still got DJ Moore and Rome Odunze. But I think a big thing in this league is you have to have an edge rusher. And that is why I took Mikael Williams from the University of Georgia. It's a great fit for them at 10.
Okay, now we're going 11 through 15. Yeah, 11 through 15. That would make sense.
Yep, that plays.
And Mitchmaster will start.
We're looking at the San Francisco 49ers. Real easy explanation here. Trent Williams isn't young. We're going to fix that problem. Offensive tackle, Kelvin Banks Jr. from Texas. Championship caliber team. Championship caliber running game. Lost to Ohio State late. Doesn't mean he's not a good player. We're taking Calvin Banks.
I was so torn on this pick. San Fran, I mean, they're still a good team, even though their record didn't show it last year. They had so many injuries. They lose Deebo Samuel. I almost went receiver, but I think they have other holes. The fun part of me wanted to go tight end for Kittle, because Kittle wants to be the WWE World Heavyweight Champion eventually. He's probably only got a couple years. He's destined for stardom, whether it's WWE acting or broadcasting. But I settled on defense, because defense wins championships. And I settled with, I'm going back-to-back Michigan. No, it hurts me even say the word Michigan. We have Mr. Will Johnson. He is a cornerback from Michigan.
And at number 12. So, we've noticed in recent years with the Dallas Cowboys, there's been an element of their game that has been missing. A running game. This changes. We're taking Amarion Hampton, running back from North Carolina. Good speed, good athleticism, good change of direction, and maybe a little underwhelming in the competition where he played in college. North Carolina, ACC, not a lot there. Didn't have a great playoff showing. But I believe that a dynamic player like Hampton can help Dallas change that running game pretty instantly.
Yeah, I mean, running back makes sense there. I think Dallas is pretty used to just running to move slightly better than average running backs out there, and that's usually what they do. It's like interchangeable parts. And of course, Ezekiel Elliott makes his 27th return.
Good old Rico Dowdle.
He's gone, I think.
Now he is.
Yeah, he's gone. So I'm going with, I think of the old Cowboy teams and on offense, and what always reminded me is the great tight ends they had. So I'm having them take the Penn State phenom, Mr. Tyler Warren.
All right. And we are going to Miami at 13. Miami had a big loss at the defensive tackle position with the loss of Christian Wilkins. The now Raider needs replaced. I'm going to take care of that quickly. With defensive tackle Kenneth Grant from Michigan. God, that word tastes horrible. Just like with the Jacksonville pick, you're taking a championship caliber defensive player, plugging him into a defense who needs a breath of life with all the retirements and injuries that have taken place with this Miami defense. And you're just taking it up a notch. And I think Kenneth Grant will fit into this defense very quickly and make them a foot ahead when it comes to the competition.
Okay, I mean, Miami puts up points. Their offense with the scheme and everything they got going. As long as Tua can stay healthy, I think they're solid there. So I also went defense, and I think probably best available at this point. And I went with Michael Williams from Georgia.
Coming back up north, going into the great city of Indianapolis. And let's face it, we've got the rotating door at quarterback. Jonathan Taylor's probably the most secure offensive player in Indianapolis at tailback. Michael Pittman and Josh Downs at wide receiver. Mo Alley Cox doesn't really cut it at tight end. This is where we see that Penn State boy go. Tyler Warren goes to the Colts. Gives that offense a much-needed spark at tight end. Great in the middle of the field. Great playmaking ability outside the hash marks as well. Adds an X factor to this Colts offense.
I think they're also going offense. The quarterback competition, both guys are going to have more tools in their toolbox. I went with, and this fits the passing game and the running game, I went with Emeka Ibuka from Ohio State, a great slot receiver, a great hands catcher. He'll be the quarterback's best friend. And then he also will be Jonathan Taylor's best friend because he's one of the best blocking wide receivers in the draft.
At 15 to the Falcons, that defense was up and down last year. You saw games where that defense looked great, like against Philly and, holding Philly to losing, keeping Philly out of the win column. So now we just add to that. And we take cornerback Will Johnson from Michigan. Just adds another explosive playmaker to that defense and hopefully incurs more turnovers.
We're pretty synced up with what side of the ball teams are picking. I also went defense for the Falcons. And I don't know a whole lot about this guy, but I've watched him tape and I've seen how high rated he is. So I'm going with Mike Green out of the beautiful state of West Virginia, Marshall. All right, now we're going 16 through 20, and it's my turn. Yay. All right, starting off with the Arizona Cardinals. How long can James Conner hang on? His career's been plagued with injuries. I think they solidify that position with Omarion, the R&B singer.
I don't think that's correct. Let's try that again, shall we?
How about Omarion Hampton?
That's his name.
University of No Contest.
Yes, absolutely.
That's what it means, right? UNC?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much all the games they played were ruled
University
in no contest.
of Nude Cousins.
I don't think that's a great place to go to school.
University
Is that Alabama?
No
Is that
condoms.
in Alabama? No condoms?
No condoms?
Hong Kong? No. Anywho.
All right.
We're looking at Arizona. How long will James Conner last? Well, with my pick, hopefully a little bit longer. We're taking the best position on the offensive line, the offensive guard position. There's no bias in there, not even slightly. And we're taking Alabama guard Tyler Booker.
Left us in suspense.
Yeah, it was some suspense.
I was wondering. I was scared a little bit.
It was never the fact that I couldn't remember his name.
Oh, of course not.
No, I am a professional. Consummate professional.
Yes, that's what I meant.
But.
Is that same as consummate?
Consummate?
Is it spelled the same way?
Yep.
You want to explain that?
No. I don't. But Tyler Booker, great running program, constantly running the football, especially protecting for Jalen Milroe, who had to extend plays to keep that offense going this past season. I could see Tyler Booker sliding into this offense very well.
Okay, at number 17, we have the Cincinnati Bengals. If the Cincinnati Bengals don't get a defense, I don't know what we're doing anymore. So with Cincinnati, I have them going with the edge rusher because the Hendrickson. We have a contract problem. And I think to put a little pressure on Mr. Hendrickson, we're going with Shamar Stewart from Texas A&M.
And I also agree. We're going edge rusher here. And if they do properly put pressure on him, and they do draft another edge rusher. Great. Pair him up because Sam Hubbard retired. So, with that being said, Mr. Mike Green from the country road state of West Virginia, down there at Marshall, is coming to the Buckeye State to play in Cincinnati.
Okay, I'm going to do something I never thought I'd be doing. I'm going to pick an interior lineman
There it is.
in the top 20.
Love it.
At number 18, we have the Seattle Seahawks. And Lord knows Mr. Darnold we don't want him seeing ghosts anytime soon. So
Because there's no such thing as a Ghostbuster.
we're going to go with, what the hell am I at? Number 18. Mr. Gary Zabel from the Juggernaut, North Dakota State. Actually, it's only fun because before they became D1, they were
very good. And to an extent, they still are.
Respectable.
Now, with the way I looked at Seattle for this draft, we miss you, Bobby Wagner, more than you know.
You could have him for like $50 in the...
Could have. I hope you bought...
I mean, he signed with how many different teams in the last 4 or 5 years of his career?
Rams in Washington.
It seemed like he was always up for grabs.
So, with that being said, we addressed that inside linebacker problem with Jihad Campbell from the University of Alabama.
You didn't pronounce it right. It's Jihad.
Jihad Campbell.
Multiple A's. 14 A's.
Get a little action.
Okay, we're getting a little goofy here.
Yeah, we are. But no, again, you can't say the same thing too many times with Alabama. Championship caliber defense. You're adding a versatile linebacker into a much needed defense at the position. So they're taking Jihad Campbell.
All right, number 19, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Swashbucklers. I have them going defense. Old Baker's got that offense clicking it on all cylinders. I was going to say it all steams. It doesn't make any sense.
Good old steams.
I have them going with Donovan Izaruka.
The big D easy.
From Boston College.
Boston. You know what? I'm going to just take a much simpler name. The defensive tackle position is already filled out, but the edge rush still could use some help. So we're going to make it real easy for him. Shamar Stewart from Texas A&M.
All right, at number 20, the surprisingly good Denver Broncos. I think that they need to get their young, great quarterback, Bo Nix, some help on the offense. So I'm going with Missouri's wide receiver, Luther Burden, the third.
I do feel like it's a great pick. But you know what? In this free agency, they absolutely loaded the defense with what's coming to mind right offhand is safety Talanoa Hufanga, previously of the San Francisco 49ers. Let's add to that a little bit. Let's give them linebacker Jalen Walker from the University of Georgia. Another championship caliber defense, sends another player to the NFL.
All right, we got number 21 to number 25. That doesn't seem like 5, but it is.
It is 5.
And Mitchmaster's leading off.
So, we got a debacle here in Pittsburgh. Who's playing quarterback? At this current moment, there is no signing of Aaron Rodgers. So, with that being said, we drafted Kenny Pickett. Guess what? We're going to draft the guy who's being compared to Kenny Pickett. Jackson Dart, quarterback, Ole Miss. Big body quarterback. Great scrambler, great passer of the football. Going to bring a Super Bowl to Pittsburgh. Jackson Dart.
Okay. I'm shocked by that. I'm not shocked that Dart goes in the first round because there's some desperate teams out there.
Like the Pittsburgh Steelers?
No, I just don't see them making the same mistake. I think next year the draft's going to be in Pittsburgh, and I think they're looking to make their move next year for quarterback. I have them going defense. They got to replace Larry Okunjobi, and Mr. Benton is not really a three-technique nose tackle, so we can move him on over. And they're going to go with the big fella out of Oregon, Mr. Derek Harmon.
Some admin before we get to 22. If they do end up signing Aaron Rodgers, Derek Harmon is also my pick. But in the interim to where he is not signed, Jackson Dart is my pick.
It could happen.
22. The Los Angeles Chargers. Got a great young quarterback in Justin Herbert. A one-year starter at running back on his new contract, Mr. Najee Harris. Mike Williams has already come back to the Chargers to play receiver. Quentin Johnston is there to play receiver. Keenan Allen has been talking to the Chargers to play receiver. And they don't have a tight end. I don't know who you are, man. I'm sorry. This is where Mr. Colson Loveland, tight end from Michigan, lands in this draft. Big tight end, just like Tyler Warren. Great between the hash marks, great outside the hash marks, great up the seam, great playmaker. I believe this is the pick for Mr. Colson Loveland.
I don't mind that. He's a very talented player. I mean, 1A, 1B with Tyler Warren. Just 2 tight ends in the first round seems not crazy, but, unusual to me. We're going to move on. What do we got here? We got the Chargers, right? The LA Chargers. All right. I had them going defense, and this has nothing to do with me being a homer. But I had them selecting Ohio State edge rusher, Mr. JT Tuamala. And California kid, I think it's going to happen. They have to replace Mr. Bosa on their defensive line, and I think this is a good way to get started.
Coming back up north, coming into Green Bay, you've got some trade talks happening between the Packers and Mr. Jair Alexander. Pro Bowl corner looking to leave Green Bay, being unhappy with the team situation for some reason. Don't understand. Could be contract. So we fixed this issue with Texas corner Jahdae Barron. Good explosive corner, could play both inside and outside, and brings a championship caliber attitude to this Green Bay defense.
I mean, Green Bay has been built on defense, but I went a different way here. We're looking at offense. Give Mr. Love as many tools as he could possibly have. I have them going with the receiver out of Texas, Mr. Matthew Golden.
And let's stay in that NFC North. Let's go to Minnesota. Harrison Smith's not getting any younger. So we got to find the next Harrison Smith, a little unknown safety, maybe not, the flashiest name in the world. So we are going to take Mr. Nick Emenwari, safety from the University of South Carolina. Not a big name in the college football world this year, but Emenwari really stood out for just being a solid tackler, good in coverage, just an all-around nose for the football at the line of scrimmage.
Okay, the Vikings are loaded on offense, as we know.
Yeah.
They think they have their quarterback. So I also thought they'd be going defense, and we picked the same position. Just a different player. I went with big school, big experience from the University of Georgia, Mr. Malachi Starks.
And then let's go back to the offensive side of the ball and go south to Houston. It is not without notice. Tank Dell is hurt again. Stephon Diggs has been signed with the New England Patriots. The Houston Texans need receiver help. So let's get them a dual threat inside-outside wide receiver. Pair him up with an old friend in C.J. Stroud. Let's get him wide receiver Emeka Egbuka from Ohio State.
I don't think he'll fall that far, but we'll see. Maybe he will.
You
know how tempted the Steelers will be to take him if he's still there at 21?
Especially if the quarterback situation is figured out.
Whether or not Mr. Pickens is traded this year or not, he's done. I mean, they will not have his services next year, so unless they franchise tag him. So they would be very tentative if Mameko's still around. All right, so I'm on to my number 25 pick. This is really best player available at this time. Not really picking for needs. I mean, everyone needs a good defensive tackle. But I have them selecting Mr. Walter Nolan out of Ole Miss. All right, we're going to do 26 till the end. And it's my turn to start. We have the Los Angeles Rams, who, I mean, surprisingly, where they were at last year, I did not expect them to have that kind of season. But they got Father Time at quarterback. But I have the Rams going to the defense. And I have them picking another big school player out of Oregon, Mr. Jordan Birch, edge rusher.
And you know what? That move actually makes a lot of sense with, pairing him up with a young guy like Jared Verse. Really just bringing that front four together and just creating a very well-rounded pass rush. But, they've been lacking some secondary help after, Jalen Ramsey left the team. Tre'Davious White is now back with the Bills. So, we're going to give them some safety help in Malachi Starks from Georgia. Hard-hitting safety, good cover guy. Just kind of give a little spark to that secondary.
Okay, at number 27, we have the Baltimore Ravens. Baltimore, obviously, run-heavy team. It's so crazy to me that every year they can be one of the top running teams in the league, and they always seem to have offensive line trouble. I had them help shore up our offensive line this year and have them going with offensive guard Tyler Booker from Alabama.
I also went offensive line here for Baltimore. The problem is that I let my most hated team in the NFL get one of my most liked players in the draft. So with that being said, King Henry gets a huge offensive guard to run behind in Donovan Jackson from Ohio State. He pairs up nicely on either side of that offensive line. Put him at the power guard at the right-hand side. Put him at the finesse guard at the left. Just let Derek run behind a monster in Donovan Jackson.
Okay, we have Detroit at number 28. A very good team, very few holes on this team. They had a ton of injuries last year and still had a successful season. I have them going defense, and I have them going cornerback, and that is Siobhan Ravel Jr. out of East Carolina University.
So at 28, the Detroit Lions, it's so hard to find a hole on this team. It is, God, they're one of the most well put together teams in the NFC North. Great running team, great passing team, great defense. There's not a hole you can find. So, we draft the best position on the offensive line with no bias. None. I have no bias here. None. None. Gary Zabel from North Dakota State. You have to.
Okay, we have the Washington Redskins up at number 29. Once again, a pretty solid offensive team. I'm going defense with the Redskins. And I chose, like I said, I'm a big school kind of guy. They always get the quality athletes, and you can coach them up once they get to the NFL level. I'm going with Mr. Jalen Walker out of Georgia. Linebacker, sorry.
That's a really good pick for them as well. Bobby Wagner again, not getting any younger. But with the loss of Jonathan Allen to the Minnesota Vikings, defensive tackle could be a big hole for them. And like I said earlier, at 21, if Aaron Rodgers is signed, Derek Harmon is the pick at 21. But in this reality, he's picked 29. Another Big Ten level player, championship caliber player, big run stuffer, great pass rusher, great at the bull rush, great at the finesse moves. Derek Harmon ticks all the boxes necessary for a defensive tackle.
Okay, at pick 30, we have the Buffalo Bills. These later picks are so freaking difficult because you're dealing with complete teams. And I thought there might be, room at wide receiver, but reaching for a receiver at this point probably doesn't seem like a good idea. So I'm going to have them go defense because, you can always use more defense. I have them going with the safety out of South Carolina, Mr. Nick Manowari. Sorry about that.
At 30 for the Buffalo Bills. I think the biggest hole here is cornerback. Tre'Davious White isn't getting any younger. I don't know why he's back here. Prove it deal. 1-year reunion. I can't figure it out. So, with that being said, I apologize if I butchered this name. The pick here is Azariah Thomas from Florida State. The one bright spot on this Florida State defense. Good caliber corner. Great at this point in the draft. It's great player to take a chance on.
Okay, we move on to number 31. That is the Kansas City Chiefs. And, the Chiefs were close, but thank God the Pennsylvania team, the Eagles, were able to dethrone them as champions. I don't know why. I'm talking like William Shatner.
Hi, William.
But we will stop doing that right now. I have them taking help on the offensive line. I have them taking big old Josh Simmons, offensive tackle from Ohio State University.
And you know what? With them trading Joe Thuney to the Bears, not really a lot of consistency at the tackle position for Kansas City over the last few years. They took Orlando Brown Jr., didn't really work out for them. So you know what? I'll second that. I'm going to take Josh Simmons from Ohio State.
Another good point, too, is that at their heart, Kansas City has really, last few years, been a running team. They had to win with smoke and mirrors last year. So showing up that offensive line is definitely going to help that out.
Absolutely.
All right, rounding out the first round at number 32, the world champion Philadelphia Eagles. With replacing Darius Slade, who went to the nicer team in Pennsylvania, the Pittsburgh Steelers. We're going to have them replacing them with Jahdae Barron out of Texas, cornerback.
And that's such a crucial pick for them. And whichever way they go with this pick, because I went a completely different direction from you. And in my defense, Brandon Graham is not getting any younger either. Josh Sweat signed a deal elsewhere. You need an edge rusher. And some admin. Person I picked at number 32, I don't know how to say your name. So you are edge rusher Donovan E. from Boston College. Now, even though I don't know how to say your name, not going to say you don't have game. For a smaller school, doesn't really get a lot of attention. You're great coming off the edge. Great bull rush. Great swim move. Good with the inside rush. Good forcing things to the outside. Can't really complain there.
All right, that is the first round altogether now. We're going to get back here in a minute with the rest of the Steelers picks. All right, on to the Steelers draft picks for the rest of the draft. There's going to be a lot of side notes here and a lot of if this scenario happens, then this. The Steelers do not have a second-round pick. But I am thinking of the possibility they could trade Mr. George Pickens for a second-round pick. And if they do that, I believe they're going to take wide receiver Key Harris out of Ole Miss. Any comments?
And I don't hate that. The thing is with trading away George, if they get a second-round pick, I've got Jack Sawyer at Ohio State.
Okay. Move on to your... I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Because that replaces Larry Ogunjobi. You don't have to worry about the quarterback situation. You can take, just like the Steelers do, you can take a receiver later in the draft, and everything that we say, if this happens, everything that we just list changes. So, maybe there's a stud in round 6. You grab him there. We've had no shortage of taking receivers in round 6. Hi, AB. But, I think if you get a second round pick, you look to establish that edge position. You get somebody a little faster off the ball. You add an explosive playmaker to the edge rusher position. Give me Jack Sawyer there, as much as I do not believe George Pickens will be traded.
Okay, in the third round, I am the watcher, and this is what if. If the Steelers sign Aaron Rodgers, I still believe the Steelers in the third or fourth are going to take a quarterback. You already had them take the quarterback in the first round. If they sign Aaron Rodgers, I have them going with, even though this person can also run, but he's more of that style quarterback, I have them going with Will Howard from Ohio State. Championship pedigree, the man has gotten better everywhere he's gone. He's a big character guy. He's going to be a good leader and a good teammate. So I have them going there. But if the Aaron Rodgers deal doesn't happen and he sneaks off to a cave in the middle of Colombia somewhere doing his ayahuasca, I have them going with the style of quarterback that Mike Tomlin loves, a running quarterback and a project, but a man with a lot of talent, and that is Mr. Milroe out of Alabama.
Now, I don't want to, be the type of guy that seems like he's going to curl up in a small blanket and take long, singular walks along the beach. Hi, Aaron. I don't know that the Aaron move is going to get done. That's why I took Dart in the first. Lario gets replaced in the second. So now, in this third round, in my eyes, you have to replace Najee Harris. In this previous year's offense, with Thunder came lightning with the combination of Najee Harris and Jalen Warren. Why not just keep a bunch of lightning? Give me Travion Henderson out of Ohio State.
That would be awesome.
Inside the tackles, outside the tackles, screen game, catch out of the backfield, catch up the seams, catch at the sidelines. Travion Henderson's done it all.
And that'd be one thing the Steelers had. Even though Warren has been a quick running back, they really don't have someone who can take it to the house. And Henderson can take it to the house from any part of the field. That would be pretty interesting.
And when is the last time we've had an actual speed running back? Like a running back
and
based on
a tiny
speed.
guy.
No, he's decent sized.
Yeah.
But when's the last time we've had a true breakaway speed running back in Pittsburgh?
Pass Willie.
Willie Parker.
All right, in the fourth round, hopefully this is a hope and a prayer that this player is still there. But I have the Steelers going with the all heart, all guts, all glory, Mr. Jack Sawyer from Ohio State.
I said if we get a second rounder, take him there. So, with that being said, I think regardless of whether you sign Aaron or you don't, in the fourth round, you are drafting Will Howard from Ohio State. I don't like being the guy that takes multiple Ohio State players back-to-back, being that obviously we are from the finest state in this United States, Ohio. But this is the guy that it matches the Steeler makeup to the biggest T. Great teammate, been lacking that at the quarterback position, but we'll get there. But great on his feet, great downfield ball, great in the intermediate passing game. Maybe a project, but projects aren't shied away from in Pittsburgh. I think Will Howard fits here best.
Okay, in the fifth round, everything I said about Jack Sawyer applies to this player. Also, gritty, tough, will to win. From Arizona State, I have them choosing Cam Scatterbo.
And there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. I mean, just watching the playoff game against Texas, that man did everything it took
He was
for
a
Arizona
one-man
State to
army.
win.
One-man army in that game.
That man, did you see the chain of plays?
Oh, yeah. I watched the game.
He ran for 8 yards on first down, went to the sidelines on second down, puked, came back for third down, converted, went back to
That's
the
a Pittsburgh
sidelines to
Steelers.
keep puking,
That's a Stiller. That's
and
a Stiller
came
right
back
there.
in.
They would love him in Pittsburgh.
I would have no problem with them drafting Scadaboo if Henderson's unavailable in the third, or we just decide to, just wait for the running back position, because we have a starter-esque guy in Jalen Warren. I have no problem with that. So in the 5th round, we need tackle depth. Dan Moore signs with a different team. There's not really a great swing tackle option on the team.
Side note, for a crazy amount of money.
For an absurd amount of money. Good luck, Cam Ward. We're going with a Johnny Cornelius offensive tackle from Oregon.
Okay, to the 6th round. The round of AB, the round of Tom Brady. I have Steelers getting that depth on the offense at tackle, because we have 2 young players starting tackle for the Steelers right now. And I can't believe I'm picking all these Michigan players. But once again, big school, running-oriented offense, should fit in with the Steelers very well. I am selecting Miles Hinton from Michigan, offensive tackle.
And, God, we don't give a damn for that state. In the 6th round, I've come to realize TJ's not getting any younger. Highsmith, wow, young. He's rolling with Nick Herbig. We need somebody that can step in and roll with TJ Watt. I picked edge rusher Colin Oliver from Oklahoma State. Guy that has all the tools to step into a role and just complement TJ very well.
In the 7th round, once again, I went for offensive line depth. I also went to a tough and rumble Big Ten school. Not that I'm biased or anything. Mike Tomlin likes the Wisconsin players, so I have him going with offensive guard Joe Huber. Plus, it sounds like a football player.
Just sounds like a football player. And in the 7th round, just like with TJ, Isaac Seumalo at the guard position is not getting any younger either. So to round it out, we're taking offensive guard Marcus Tate from Clemson. Notably good running school from all those years. It's got to account to something. Give me Marcus Tate.
All right, thanks for joining us on our 3rd annual draft show. Once again, please let poor, sad Mitchmaster 3000. All he's ever wanted to do was be Mitchmaster 4000. You can make that happen. Share this, like, subscribe to the channel. You're going to be getting a lot more content on the Talk channel. So subscribe and hit your notification bell to be notified when we're doing other stuff. I greatly appreciate you. We may be back on draft night for a live show. I'll let you know in the coming days. Peace and love.